Douglas Bickford. It's the 4th of September 2021 at 6:40 a.m. here in Klamath Falls, Oregon, which is my hometown. Over 10 months ago now, 10 months ago in 3 days, as a matter of fact. But who's counting, right? I got out of a toxic marriage with a, a crazy woman in her dysfunctional family uh, that I got into in 2017, May of 2017. But I got out of it, like I said, 10 months ago because this woman threatened to kill my cat. She had already killed two of them. And the reason I got myself in that toxic marriage in May of 2017 is because I didn't have any self-esteem, and that was because I was sexually molested as a child, physically, emotionally, and sexually abused as a child by my evil father. And I'm the youngest of six of us, four sisters, one brother, and I'm the youngest, like I just said. It was so bad, I didn't even remember it. My sister told me about it. It happened to my brother too, but he's all in denial of it. And he's on every medication known to mankind because of it. I mean, he's popping like 5 or 6, 7, 8 pills a day. Okay. At least he was back in 2003 when I was living in Boulder City, Nevada. Um, Back then he was popping all these antidepressants and psycho drugs, making him even more screwed up. But we all had no self-esteem, and I'm the only one that's actually recovered from it and been able to work it out because I attained self-esteem about probably 9 months ago when I found a book, when I got a book that I found in my son's house after I left this woman on November 2nd, 2020. The day will go down in history as one of my life-changing moments because she was going to kill the third cat of mine. His name's Bullseye. And that happened because my cat scratched her mother in the face. And her mother, big, fat, overweight, 150-pound Mormon, 5'0" woman, 85, right? Who sexually, emotionally, and physically abused her, what, 4 children, along with her twisted husband. He died in August of 18 after I married her. And then everything was swept under the rug by all that family. Okay. And anyway, after I left that toxic marriage, because she had killed a third cat of mine, I let her kill the other two because I had no self-esteem. Okay. Uh, Went to my son's house, who's married to an alcoholic, abusive woman, just like I was. Has been for probably 8 years now. Left, ended up there, paid him $300 a month rent, lasted 6 days of that hellhole because of his wife, and he had no self-esteem to tell her no, kicked me out of there. Told me she was going to call the cops on me and everything else. And I just like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not going to deal with all that. And then, of course, he didn't give me my money back. And I was in an RV, man. I was destitute. I was like hurt, confused, had nowhere to go. And he told me, oh, just go live on the street, Dad, in my RV that didn't have a, I mean, it was like, anyway, I found a book in a box at his house. in the bottom of this box, I was looking for a coffee cup, and it's called the Portable Therapist. And in it, she don't call it mirror therapy. I call it mirror therapy. She's a doctor of psychology. Okay, so she has a doctorate in psychology. So she's a psychiatrist. Look at yourself. The concept in the mirror that I got out of this book was just one of them. Mirror therapy. That's what I call it. She didn't even call it that. She says, look at yourself in the mirror, say I love you, say I love. That's it. And say it every day. That's what she says in the book. Okay. That's what she says to do. Okay. To her clients, because she was a therapist for many years and she wrote this book in 1985. Anyway, you do that every day. Okay. But I added to it. Okay. Because we all have an inner child and you can't have self-esteem unless you have any, unless you nurture this inner child that nobody knows lives inside of us. It's number one, it's a secret that we have an inner child. Number two, it's a secret that the inner child never goes beyond age. We mature emotionally, but the inner child stays stuck at the 2-year-old level. So I become an adult, and my inner child is stuck at 2 years old, and it lives inside me. And it doesn't want, it's the guardian of your emotional warehouse. All the bad, the stuff that's been said or done to you, it's stored inside you. Okay. And it won't let you at those unless you nurture your little inner child living inside you by saying, I love you to my inner child. I'm going to take care of you. And talking to your inner child like you're talking to a little 2-year-old. Okay. I call it parenting your inner child. Okay. That's what she calls it in the book. And there's a whole 2 chapters on it. Hot chocolate. I quit drinking caffeine because caffeine is a stimulant, folks. It's a drug just like nicotine, just like alcohol, just like pot, just like narcotics, opiates. It's the same thing, and people are using it to mask their pain. But that's a whole nother subject. Drugs and alcohol. Okay. Anyway, say I love you in the mirror. Say I love my inner child. Say I'm worthy to be loved. Say I'm worthy to love. And say it daily. Do not tell anybody you're doing it because they'll say you're crazy. Then you won't do it because you have no self-esteem, because you can't stick up for yourself if you have no self-esteem. And the other thing about self-esteem, you can't love or be loved without it. Okay? You attract exactly what you are. Okay? So if you can't love and be loved without it, then if you're with somebody, if you met somebody on a dating site, if you're with somebody and you had no self-esteem, then they have no self-esteem. So you really don't love each other. You need each other. And that's the way it is. I don't know why it's that way, but that's the way it works. It's cost me 4 marriages. Okay. If I'd have read this book in the 80s, I'd only been married once. Okay. I got married after 3 days in 1978. Okay. Or 1977, I think. Got married in 3 days. Okay. After I met this girl, her name is Denise Roller. She lives in I met her in Klamath Falls, Oregon, which is where I'm back at in my hometown. And I bought it and paid for bought and paid for a house here cash in my hometown because I got out of that toxic relationship. Okay. So I was blessed because anyway, that's like the story is so long. But anyway, you can't love or be loved without self-esteem. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself inside. Okay, it's also called self-love, self-confidence, self-worth. And if you don't love yourself, you'll get in a toxic relationship. And this has happened to millions of people. That's why the divorce rate is 75% or whatever ridiculous thing it is. That's why people relationship jump. That's why you've been married more than once. That's why I've been married more than once. Because you have to love yourself first. But here, the problem with all of it is we're being trained, taught, I call it brainwashing, she calls it training in this book, and taught by the Western model. Okay. But we're being trained. It comes from TVs, radios, newspapers. It comes from Facebook, all the social media, all of it. TikTok, Instagram, all of them. That you have to love somebody else before you ever love yourself. That's what the Disney movies, you're going to magically, somebody's going to magically appear. You're going to fall madly in love and nothing else is going to matter. That's what we're being taught, trained, brainwashed, whatever you want to call it. Facebook's doing the same thing to us. Then people go to Facebook, YouTube, all these different social media outlets to try to find happiness. It's but you never find happiness. Drugs, alcohol, sex, TV, religion, another person. You have to find it within yourself. And the way you can do that is do the mirror therapy, like I said. I can be your mentor when you start going through this change process. My number is 458-232-5238. Douglas Bickford, that's me. Okay. And I told you my name. I can be your mentor, but I'm going through the book, The Portable Therapist, one chapter at a time. Get the book, folks. Read this book. It will change your life. Okay. Um, in a link in the description of this video. It's very cheap. Anyway, here's another chapter out of The Portable Therapist. This is chapter 47 by Doctor of Psychology, Susanna McMahon. I mean, I didn't get this stuff. This stuff's not coming from Douglas Bickford. This is coming from a woman that's been where you're at. But she happened to be a psychiatrist. She figured it out. She's gone through it because she talks about we and us in this book. So she figured it out. She was the one that, I believe she's the one that came up with that mirror concept. Okay, why am I so afraid of my feelings? As mentioned before, we have been taught to confuse our feelings with the expression of our feelings. We think our feelings are synonymous with the behaviors we exhibit. Therefore, anger becomes yelling, fear becomes shaking, and sadness becomes crying. However, feelings are one thing and behaviors are another. We can be angry without yelling, afraid without shaking, and sad without crying. We also have been taught, I call it brainwashing, to confuse what we control. We have been trained, brainwashed, to try to control our anger, fear, joy, and so on. We have been told that it is not appropriate to be angry in certain situations, and we cannot be sad without being weak. How often we have heard parents tell their children, "Don't be sad. You can't be angry at me. Don't get so excited," and so forth. And so we grow up thinking we must somehow control what we feel, but not knowing how to do this. It becomes easier to try to not to feel than to feel at inappropriate times. And when we cannot control our feelings, we become guilty and punish ourselves for being out of control. It is no wonder we think of our feelings as enemies and we become afraid of them! Exclamation point. Since you cannot control your feelings, it is an exercise in futility to try. Focus instead on accepting your feelings without fear and practice controlling your expressions of these feelings. This may be easier than it sounds. There's a time between the awareness of what you're feeling and your behavior. Begin noticing this time period. When you behave instantly in response to your feelings, you are reacting and will often feel that your feelings have taken control over you. Realize that there is no need for an instant reaction. Take the time to choose how you want to express yourself. Acknowledge your feeling by stating, I am feeling uh, angry or sad or whatever. Then ask yourself, what do I need to do? Then take a few more seconds more and ask yourself, how will I feel about myself after I do this? If you think that you will feel bad, do not do it. Try something else. If you think you will feel all right, then do it. If you are not sure, try not doing anything. It is okay to be unsure. If someone else is involved, tell the other person what you're feeling and you do not know what to do. Often they will help you solve your confusion by the way they respond to you. You may begin a dialogue in a way that requires no other action. Remember that recognizing your feeling and accepting it means that you will no longer be afraid of the feeling. All your feelings, the ones you like, and the ones you do not like, are normal and natural. They are part of you, and they are not good or bad, right or wrong. Feelings are what separate humans from machines. Do not be afraid of your humanness, and you will no longer fear your emotions. Woo! Powerful chapter, folks. Uh, we all have the feelings, you all know. And we all have the ability to control our behavior because of the feelings, whatever it is we're feeling. Just like this book just said. Make the choice. You have the choice to love yourself. You have the choice not to love yourself. Say, I love you in the mirror. Say, I love my inner child. Say, I'm worthy to be loved. Say it daily. Don't tell anybody you're doing it. Just like I said, I can be your mentor, 458-232-5238. Get a hold of me anytime, day or night. I can help you through the change process. I have self-esteem now. I have self-love, self-worth, self-confidence. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here making these videos talking to you about this stuff. I'd be like blowing it all off and, oh, it's no big deal, you know. But it's very, very important information. And it will change you from the inside out. And that's why I am here teaching this stuff. That's why I'm giving you my phone number to encourage you along the way because it will change you, folks. I mean, it really will. And it's very simple, okay? And the reason that you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say those three things is because you can't lie to yourself in the mirror, okay? So the very first time you do it, you have to force yourself to do it. I kid you not. And then once you start doing it, and you will feel a difference. I kid you not. When you go around and get around people, because we've been trained that you have to have love somebody else before you love yourself, and it doesn't work that way. So once you learn to love yourself, then you will be able to love others, and you will treat people like you treat yourself. That's the way it works. And then you will feel this difference, like I noticed it after I've been doing the mirror therapy. I'm not sure how long it was after I started saying it, but I noticed it in a grocery store at the grocery outlet in Lapine, Oregon. I was like, there's something different about me. It was like a miracle. I would like strike up conversations with people that total strangers, and it didn't matter what they looked like. If whether overweight, not overweight, old, young, it just didn't matter. And I would still strike up conversations with people. And I still do it on steroids now. And, I mean, I get out of bed. And it's like even before I even get out of bed, as soon as my eyes open up, I start saying positive affirmations. Okay. Like it's going to be a great day and it's a beautiful day and being thankful for everything I have. And I started doing this. Living in an RV in Christmas Valley, Oregon, out in the middle of the desert, nothing out there. And I mean, the nearest grocery store was a 100-mile round trip to La Pine and back, out there in the sagebrush. And but and I was living in an RV, but I just started, as soon as I left that toxic relationship, I was like, because I had like ignored myself for 4 years in that relationship, and uh, because you have to take care of yourself first before you can uh, take care of another person. If you take care of other people before yourself, then you'll get resentful. Okay. But you want to take care of yourself. Like I like to clean car, I like to clean house, and she didn't like anything like that. She was more interested in impressing her family how great a farmer she was. That's where the killing animals came in. She loved it. She was trying to impress her family by killing animals and being a deer hunter and all that, right? Carrying a 308 out there in the woods and shooting an innocent animal. And then said, "Oh, I just like the meat," right? No, she enjoyed the bragging about the how she killed the animals. She bragged about how she killed goats to people. She like it doesn't matter what it was, pigs and chickens, ducks, turkeys. I mean, she loved it. She loved bragging about it. She first time I met her, or one of her first stories she told me was, "Oh yeah, the big turkeys, right? They get big. How she had to wrestle it to the ground and slash it, stab it repeatedly with a knife, her and her friend. Okay. And she's all proud of how she tore into it with a knife and, the poor turkey was just defending itself. It's brutally, she brutally murdered this turkey. And then she bragged about how it fought her and she got even stabbed her own self with the knife. And then she had the battle scar and she'd tell everybody, "Yep, I was trying to wrestle a 50-pound bird," and her and her friend, you know, and she bragged about how it's just horrendous. Okay, that she took a knife and gouged a turkey, and she bragged about this stuff. She bragged about it when she took a 308 and she blew the uh, little six. This is 5 months into the relationship, the marriage. I married her after 3 weeks. Okay, because I had no self-esteem. But she bragged about how the 308 at point blank range blew the poor little baby goat's head off. Okay, three of them, and and she laughed about it, and that's when I knew I had got myself into a bad relationship. And the reason I went in that relationship, I had no self-esteem. And then the other thing, the very first date, she told me how she had a threesome. Her and her husband had a threesome with some woman they brought home from the bar. And she was bragging about how beautiful the woman was, a gorgeous blonde, right? And then she was bragging that, oh, the woman only wanted to have sex with her and didn't want to have sex with her husband. So he watched while they had sex and he masturbated. This is what this is what I got myself into. I was not when I got married her or when I met her, I was looking for somebody to love me, not go to a bar and pick up a woman to have a threesome with or a man, right? But that's the stuff she did. And then she lied about it to me. But I still married her because I had no self esteem after that first date and that conversation happened. That's how no self esteem I had. I mean, if I'd had self esteem, I would have ran like a scared rabbit and go, "Whoa." I didn't care how good looking she was. I would have not got involved in that if I would have had self esteem. After she told me and was bragging about it, and then she bragged about how good the woman kissed, better than her husband. Okay. I mean, that's the crazy thing we get ourselves into with no self esteem. I kid you not, man. It's like crazy. I let her kill two of my cats because I had no self esteem. One she shot in the back of the head. And I got to live with this stuff. I mean, when the very first date, very first time I met her at Starbucks in Safeway, right? In Newport, Washington. I follow her out to her house, living with mom and dad in a room, supposedly renting the room and taking care of her mother and father, right? And go to the house. It's all overgrown. You know, nobody's doing anything around that place. There's junk laying everywhere. There's a big shed full of garbage. Okay, just old, beat up building. Right, nothing's finished. All of it's like there's no garage. There's no nothing. There's a big barn full of junk. Uh, but walking up the walkway, both brothers are living, you know, 50, 60 years old, pot smoking. They're both brothers are living in RVs on the property, two RVs. She's living in the bedroom. Walk up the walkway, and here they are, smoke billowing out of one of their, you know, I mean, one of their RVs, a dumpy freaking garbage, uh, old, motorhome, Chevy or whatever it was. That was her brother named Denver, and then the other brother was can't remember what his name was. John. Okay, John Jr. Henry, and they're both smoking pot, drinking. I mean, this is in the middle of the day, like noon or something. Smoking pot, drinking, no lives, you know, living, sponging off mom and dad, garbage everywhere on that property. Neither one of them would do anything. This is what I all found out later. Walk in the house, right? Here's mom and dad, big, fat, overweight, living in a pigsty, sitting in front of the boob tube, candy, soda pop, all of it, stuff everywhere. They're all hoarders. This could have been a beautiful manufactured 4 bedroom, 2 bath home. Outside of it, everything was grown over with weeds. This is in May. It's all starting to grow up. The weeds are all coming up. Nobody takes care of anything. Got those two 50, 60-year-old brothers living on the property. Mom and dad are taking care of them. They don't do anything for anybody but except for smoke pot and drink and sit in their RVs. And one of them played video games all the time. The other one sat on YouTube, smoked, chain smoker, drinking, racist, talking trash about everybody, right? Mom and dad are sitting in there watching the boob tube. Mormons, okay, that never go to the church. Hoarders everywhere. There's all the counters in the kitchen, the table, everything filled with junk. Then I go into her room. It's all full of junk. Okay, not clean, just like full of all this stuff. And then there's another kitchen off the house that she lived there with her ex-husband. Okay, lived in that same house. So there was two separate kitchens in that house. That's how big the house was. And then she was supposedly renting the other side of the house, but her mom and dad, she was never responsible for any of the bills. Her dad was, okay, ex-military, retired, and making good money, right? And he's a 300-pound, overweight, no self-esteem. I didn't know any of this stuff. Then she takes me in her bedroom. And I go right to her bedroom, and her bedroom's all full of junk. She don't even have a real. She's got like a day bed, right? Don't even have the money to buy a real bed in that. And those things are very uncomfortable. And then I still, the very first date when I went there, and then she told me that story about the threesome in the very first date with her ex-husband that used to live in that house. And then I find out she's 56, don't have a checking account, don't have nothing. And then I find out that she has lived with her parents, even with her ex-husband, for years. They both lived together in that house. And then it's like, okay, so then she's living with mom and dad all the time, and she wonders why she can't have a relationship and make it work. She was married. I don't know how many times she was married. She wouldn't tell me. It was my fourth. I think she was married 8 or 9 times or 10 even. I mean, total dysfunction, all of it. And I still married her because I had no self-esteem. And I had everything. House paid for in cash in a beautiful park in Spokane, Washington. Had a thriving hot dog business. I had like $35,000 in silver in a safe. And within 4 months, all the money was gone. My house was gone because I traded it for that house for their parents. But anyway, this is what has happened to me, okay, because of no self-esteem. You are in a toxic relationship. There's millions of you in it right now going through this stuff. And by saying those things to yourself in the mirror, getting the book, The Portable Therapist, even if you're in a toxic relationship, say those things to yourself. Don't tell the maniac you're living with that you're doing it. Do it. Get the book, The Portable Therapist. It will help you get out of that toxic relationship. My daughter's in one with an alcoholic. My son's in with an alcoholic. My ex-wife married an abusive person. Then that turns into, now my grandkids are with abusive people, right? They both have kids that it's going to turn all into dysfunctional because they're not married and not stable. Anyway, that's the stuff that happens to you. So, but you have to separate yourself from all this negative stuff, which what I've done. Okay. Because now I have self-esteem and I will not be around discouraging people. Okay. Anyway, I'll have the next chapter for you tomorrow, chapter 48, which is, I have everything I need. Why am I so miserable? Y'all have a great day out there. Like, sub, and share these very important videos. Give me a call. I can mentor you. Have a great day.